Hey, happy Friday, quilt makers, scrap masters, friends, and family alike. I've got a real treat for you on today's show. Are you ready? Let's get started. And that is right. Well, welcome back to So Well with yours truly, Rob Appell. And this is Friday afternoon, which means it's a Scrap Masters randomly generated quilt block. We have our awesome dice and our color wheel spinner. And if you've been watching the show for several weeks, welcome back. Thank you for being here. It's a blessing to see you all out there again. Make sure you are chatting with us on the premiere, meaning Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We have our friends over in the chat box having a great time. And today's theme is new beginnings. New beginnings, meaning I have a whole new free pattern for all of us to enjoy. So I want to spend a few moments and explain to you all out there. Make sure you also are connected to us through our Facebook group. So Well, Rob Appell. Answer the 3 questions, please. We'll let you through there. It's a large community. We have a great group of folks out there. And I have tried to build this new version, the new series of Scrap Masters, so that we can all have more fun participating in our quilting community. So what is Scrap Masters? I've got 3 versions so far. The one behind me I'm calling Neon Nights. I have the OG Scrap Masters, the original, and then the series 2 that I just wrapped up last week technically is now on the long arm. I'm quilting it up. I'm going to use that for some other tutorials as we go. But the concept is, if you've never seen this before, is we're going to randomly make quilt blocks that all fit together by using a palette that has been kind of pre-colorized, pre-sorted, and this series, I'll use a common neutral fabric for my backgrounds. And you can see my palette has already been curated to match. So I'll be using Tulip Pinks, wonderful Stardust. This was a great recommendation from somebody in our community. Thank you so much. I went to my local quilt shop. Check this out. Okay, a quick visit to the local quilt shop is going to help us acquire, yes, batting for that project. And check this out. We got so close. There was one request for fabric online. And here, this might be the new background for the next round of Scrap Masters. Let's see what we got here. So I found some Ruby Star Society, and it's pretty cool, but I'm afraid the colors are a little too pastel-y or soft, right? And I found this because it looked like me from the ocean, the gravel, all of that. Colors, again, are neat, but not quite what I'm going for. And then I found the Tulip Pink Stardust, and that's the light gray background. So I think that's going to be our choice, folks. And it's going to cost me dearly, but I'm in. Now, I didn't want to say this part inside, because the shop is just opened. They're brand new. They're just getting in their inventory, and they're super sweet. And what they had was awesome, but they didn't have much. So to be able to find exactly what you requested, oh man, it's like the needle in the biggest haystack possible, and it is now ours. So great suggestion. Thank you so much. And yeah, this is going to be the background for round 3 Scrap Masters. Here we go. And I felt so incredibly led when I wandered it around and finally found the one that you had requested. So thank you. Thank you for being part of that community. And I will use this in all of the blocks as my white spaces in our pattern. Oh, sorry. If you want to participate on your own at your own pace, you can pick up the Scrap Masters pattern spinner set on your own here. It's got mini die. You know, these are mine. At any rate, so here's what this looks like this time around. Let's get focused on the pattern. We'll do less comedy jokes, and we'll go ahead and forego the grateful list this week so we can get focused on what we're doing. But I've broken it down now a little bit different direction. So there are now 12 blocks. Some of these you will recognize, and some of these are going to be new for you. Some of these are updates. They're all going to be listed out visually in a white, gray, and black 3-tone pattern set. And hopefully you'll notice now, here's a return block, that I've broken down the instructions on how many 2.5-inch squares to make, or how many half square triangles to make, also at 2.5 inches. So this makes it very easy to see and work through our color code. The pattern is free over on robappell.com. Follow the link in the description below. So what I'm going to do for the next 12 weeks, that's right, folks, is I'm going to go sew ahead, and that's another new one. That's rad, huh? I'm going to go ahead and sew through these one at a time to help everybody re-see the pattern, see how it works, make sure that all the coding and everything is correct, right? But what I'm also going to do, let's start with a brand new one today. I love this one. Is I'm just going to go ahead now and put these right back in the order you see them. And I'm going to roll the die. For those of you who are still making blocks, these will all still count, right? The spinner and the die just tell us what to work on. It's just our starting point, folks. And it's randomized, and we don't all have to start at the same places in life or as quilters. This is part of the metaphor. Quilting is a metaphor to life, right? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to assign myself this one. But what I want you all to do is I want you all to go ahead and print out the free pattern and look through the 12 blocks and choose your favorite 6 blocks. Then number them accordingly, 1 through 6. And so when I roll the 6-sided die, that will be how you choose which block you're working on. And so what I'll do, and here we go, I'm bringing out the game box right now. Here we go. Whatever number this lands on is how I'll number this block for me, and I'll use that then throughout the progression. Quilt behind me is 35 weeks, 35 blocks of sewing, and I cannot stop doing this. Folks, I'm addicted. I'm glad you are too. Here we go. What are we calling this block? Okay, so this is my official block 6 for myself, and this does not have to be your block 6. I don't even have a pen on me. Now I don't even have a spray bottle on me. Okay, so your block 6 can be whatever block 6 you want it to be, or if you are watching this and did what I asked you to do, you already had numbered them 1 through 6, so you're now working on your block 6. This is what I'll make today. Wonderful. What color am I going to get focused on? And I will like to remind you, we do have one and one only rule, and that is there are no rules. So as we go ahead and set these guidelines for ourselves, we're making quilts using up our leftovers, using up our scraps. Even though they've been curated to look beautiful together, we're still just making random blocks that eventually we'll put together into a wonderful quilt top. Okay, so what color are we focused on this week? Looks like we are in the red-orange family. I like that a lot. And now this 20-sided die will tell me how many different fabric choices I may use out of the tray of treasure plus my background fabric. Here we go. Ooh, it looks like a 6. Not too shabby. This will help me a bunch this week. This will help you all see how easily it works. So we have 6 fabrics. Red, orange is the starting point. So therefore what I do is I kind of look in here and I say, what are those red, orange fabrics I have? So for me, not many. I have mostly this red, brighter red. I have one decent piece of orange left. So it just has to get kind of close for me to feel like I'm heading in the right direction, right? Because I only have 6 fabrics to work with, I could call those 3 my red-orange, and I could go monochromatic, meaning staying in the red-orange family, and just add more of what I see as some oranges into yellows, getting a variety of textures and solids in here. There, that is 6 fabrics. I don't love the way they work together. And one of the things that's going to be neat here is my fabric here can work like a color wheel for me. So I can kind of look through here and say, oh, where do I see these red oranges and what else do I see next to them? So maybe what I want to do is I want to pull out 2 more fabrics here and I want to get into a little different color. Like look how neat those greens are and these teals are next to it. So what if I just dive in here and I kind of use my eye and I say, what happens now if I pull that fabric in and this fabric in? Will this give me a little bit more to look at, a little bit more to work from as I build out my project? The disadvantage to this now, I am using this always as the white spaces on my pattern blocks. So then I have to figure out, if that be the case, which of these 3 colors do I call a black family, or which of these 3 colors do I call the gray family? So I'm really wiser to do something where maybe I would call those the black family. And I would then say, no, that's still too much of a change. So now I bring this in, and I'm going to bring in one more here, but watch what I can do. It still doesn't even have to be the same blue greens. What happens when I do that, right? Doesn't that make it look lovely? Oh, but I do see a cheat. I can bring that in there, that in there. There. So as I work through it, working through my palette, now using my background fabric, and again, you could be using all scraps, but this is my challenge for this quilt. I want to see what I can do. So here I'm going to go ahead and label this out now. Those red fabrics will be my black family. These blue green fabrics will be the gray families. And now I'll use this Tula fabric already cut here to become my backgrounds. All my squares are at 3 inches or 2.5, so that I can make the half square triangles down to 2.5 finished and get 2 at a time. So now let's go ahead and see, what did that really mean when I broke those sets down? Okay, so for this now, I need 28 half square triangles, but I'm going to get 2 for every set. So that means I need 14 sets. And I've decided that this fabric grouping is going to be the black fabric grouping. So therefore, I'm going to now take and lay out 14 3-inch squares randomly. So 14 randomly, right sides up. Now I'll just go ahead and take my neutral or my white fabric, because that's what that is. That's my white family and my black family. And I'll pair up 14 of these to make half square triangles out of. What I've learned to do is we're not going to design where any one unit falls into our pattern. It's much easier to make all of these random so that you get this lovely scrappy effect in the background. We'll have plenty of time to build out our blocks and design here, but it's better, faster, easier on the designer in you, your inner designer, if you'll simply just make all of your units like this randomly and then design the block once they're built. So I'm prepping these out. Now, it also says we're going to want to make 4 of our black and gray, which again, this is the black family and I only need 2 per. So let's take the textured red and the neutral kind of lavender there. And I need to pair those up right now with my mediums. And then up here at top, I also needed to make 4 with my mediums. So 2 of these now with 2 of my backgrounds, the white. So these will all be made into half square triangles. This is a very half square triangle heavy block. Not all of them are this way, but it's okay. This is great practice. So these now I'll need to take a straight edge, diagonal to diagonal, and draw a line, which will be a guide, where I'll do a 1/4 inch on either side. Or you can draw a 1/4 inch down the center diagonal if you're using like a magic wand tool. Or what I've also learned to do is just use my eye here and put down this wonderful seam tape. And I'm just going to follow the edges along the black line. As you can see here, just following that line through. And now I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle into the down position, and I'm going to begin chain piecing going down one side of all of these. Now, because we're scrap sewing and I am the carefree quilter, I'm going to do this as efficiently as possible, which means I'm not going to even cut this chain of half square triangles. I'm simply going to lift my foot, I'm going to rotate this around, or I could cut my thread, And now I'm sewing on the other side of what would be that drawn diagonal line. My eyes watching parallel there with my thread. I also can still see the tip down here on my seam tape. And I'm going to begin feeding through the other side to create that second half square triangle. If you choose to do it this way, make sure you are on the proper side of the thread, the proper side of the fabric. And remember, we sewed down looking at all of our white fabric. So again, I'll be looking at the white fabric or my background fabric as I go. Now, once you've done both sides, you can use the thread cutter on your machine or whatever you like and go ahead and separate out all of your half square triangles. This is the other benefit of not really having an order or keeping track, right? They're just done by color here. And now what we're going to go ahead and do, let's find one that makes it real easy for us to see. This will be perfect. We're going to need to trim these down. There's a couple of different ways. First, we're going to go ahead and use a straight edge to protect the work in our hand, cut that diagonal to diagonal. Old-fashioned way of doing this would be to press first. Oh, let's get our iron hot. And then go ahead and use the diagonal on our ruler to trim down. But because we are talking about efficiency and mostly accuracy, I'm going to use my slotted trimmer. There's a 2.5 inch mark. I put my dotted line of the trimmer right above the thread. And I like to trim from the middle of the ruler out on both edges. And then for me, it's just as easy to dog ear these corners manually. And then I'll go over here, and because these today are all made with a white background primarily, we'll just press all of them to the dark fabric. And as I do that, lean it over, let it cool. I'm going to go through and do that to all of these pieces and get myself prepped out and ready. As you're doing that, I want to point out also, every one of our blocks that we do will have 36 units, whether it's a 2.5 inch square or a 2.5 inch half square triangle. We just made 4 plus 8 is 32 and another 4, that's 36. So you'll also notice we have no squares to make in today's block. However, if your block 6 requires squares, take your 3 inch squares and trim them down now per color family to your 2.5 inch mark so that you can go ahead and design as you're building, and I'm staying focused on my block 6 today. That means I can push all of this other fabric up and out of the way, hoping I got my count right, trim these down, press them over, and be right back to design these with you. Okay, so all of the half square triangles have been trimmed down to 2.5 inches square. They've been pressed over to the dark side, and now I've gone ahead and laid them out basically according to, well, now according to our diagram here. Remember, no squares today. And as I bring this back in, I have not built this block yet, so this could get rowdy, folks. But traditionally, I like to kind of start in the center. We are going to build and sew across it all in rows and columns, but my eye sees this hourglass right now, and that is formed with the white and black blocks, or the ones we have the majority of. So now I'm basically going to just try to use a variety of different fabrics. I only had 3 to choose from. So when I put these together here with the white sides forming points in, then I'll just take this fabric as it matches, and instead of having it here, I'll have it here and here, so that they're kind of different as much as possible. Of course, throughout my blocks, my backgrounds will always touch, but my other fabrics, I'll try to have different fabrics at the seams when possible. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this block today. We're going to build the next 2 columns up and down, because I again see the diamond or the square in the square that is formed with, again, these same pieces, the white and black shapes. So I'm just going to continually grab those and let them run from each other now. So again, same fabric, so I'll probably at least want to have this one on this side. And now if I can bring the violet over to this side, there and there, doing the same. Okay, Now these other two columns will be about the same, but I also see that square and a square from the light to dark out on both sides. So let's build those here and here. And those are still using these same pieces. So again, just looking for opposite different fabrics, the unions where possible. Oh, whoops, I did that wrong. I formed that there as the diamond, but what it really is like the other side. Next will be to start to fill in this, and if you can see, it kind of forms an X shape or a line opposites. So now that'll be the same, except for here is where one of those gray shows up, and here's the other gray here. So these next two pieces, I need black and gray. That's not true. First piece, I need the black and white, and it's going to come in here and begin the line. Then the black and gray. Then yet another red and white. Well, excuse me, black and white. And then the other white and gray on this side. And to keep it scrappy, because I only have these other choices, I'm going to now use that opposite. See how it's starting to form? Now that my eye can see that, I can follow that across here as well. Making some quick adjustments now as I lay it in to keep everything working on the visual. Okay, so now this is one option of the block. The other way my eye sees it is I could really take the time if I wanted to and try to mix and match so that I do get distinctive purple lines, I'll call it, and red lines going through here. That may not be a true statement. No, and oh, maybe. I think I'm going to like the way this looks even better. Really fun this way. So let's see if I can chase this down a little bit further. Maybe I'll just bring one of these over here. Ooh, I think I like that. Oops, I missed the one up in here. So again, this is where all the design time, this is where all the fun comes in, where you can mix and match and play, because now you can see all of your parts and pieces the way they are laid out, right? I might even want to take this and one more maneuver here. And here to keep the color flow going. You can also, folks, if you choose, because there are no rules, I could rotate this piece, I could rotate this piece, and this piece. And now I can have what looks to be a very intentional block. Let's not forget, what we're building behind us eventually will be more scrappy looking than intentional looking. So it's your choice whether you want to put that much intentionality into it. For today, I like it. I'm going to keep it just like I see it now. And I do know that there's going to be some like fabrics touching. I can't get too bent out of shape about that, I don't think. I mean, yes, I could really try to work through and see what happens. Maybe a couple of quick maneuvers and I can get away with it. Take another moment. That's better. Livable. Okay? So now I've got the 1/4 inch seam allowance locked down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and I'm going to do a webbing style patchwork. And I'm going to start by taking column 1 and column 2, and I'm going to go all the way down chain piecing, putting column 2 on top of column 1, and I will not cut my threads until I get to the bottom of the whole column. And now that I'm at the bottom of the column, I'm going to cut my thread, and I won't iron until I'm totally done with all of the patchwork now. I'm just going to slide this up. I'm going to fold over what is column 2. I'm going to grab the top of column 3, and I'm going to lay it on the seam correctly, right sides down like before. And now I'm going to go all the way down this column, adding on column 3. Flop it over, and if you grab by this outer edge, it naturally falls in your hand and lays over just right. Don't rush it. This is just efficient, helping us stay accurate in a timely manner. We're going to continue on with this format till we're all the way down to the very last piece, and I'll show you another trick. Okay, Scrap Masters, now that we're down at the bottom, we're going to take a moment to just fold all of this out and have a peekaboo and make sure we can see what we can see. I see purple, I see red running in the orders, I see my diamonds, so it must be close to correct. We're not going to iron, we're not going to cut anything open. What I'm going to simply do now is take and lay this row on top, or this column on top of this column, and I'm going to let my fingers nest these seams together so that they're going in opposite directions. And then we're going to get a nice start on that top corner, and we're just going to go ahead and make sure that each row sews the seam in the same direction. Makes it life real easy for the next grouping. So right now, I'm looking at this seam. The top seam is facing me. So each seam, I'll just kind of force that with my finger. And this consistency will help the block lay and nest together very nicely. I will take a moment, check the iron, and make sure it's getting hot, because at the end I will not only press it, but I'll add a little steam and let it sit. But from here on out, I'm just going to go ahead and move across the block unit, column by column, keeping the work coming out of the machine. And now these upper seams are facing up towards you all. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch this column this way, keeping the under seam pointing at me, the upper seam pointing up and away from me. Make sure you don't get anything caught underneath. I've done that once or twice myself. The third column seam is the easiest to get everything caught up. And then when I get onto the fourth column seam, I actually flip all of the work over to keep the weight on the feed dogs. And now I'm going to do the same concept, but just keeping track of these last two columns up here. Checking which direction, crisscrossing, nesting those seams, starting at a good corner. So like I said, let's give this a good press and steam. I'm going to kind of start on one edge, apply a little moisture, work my way this way. And as I'm finishing out, I want to say thank you all for being here this happy Friday. I want to encourage you all, if you're not already part of our Facebook group, please head on over to Facebook group, sign up for So Well Rob Appell, answer those questions. Make sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube. You're liking, you're sharing, you're commenting on all of the videos. It helps the channel grow so quickly. Don't forget about the New Year's Day Mystery Quilt along with Tiffany Hayes and myself coming up January 1st. That'll be amazing. Way down the road, we're almost out of our kits. So if you're interested, check those out on robappell.com too. How cool is that block? And thank you again for the amazing suggestion of using the cool Tool of Stardust throughout the rest of this project. This is block 1 for me. Wherever you're at, please post your work on that Facebook group. Let us know which block number it is for you. Let us know what color you are using and how many different fabrics. And thank you so much for participating. It is great to have you all out there. Make sure those hands are staying busy until I see you again. Stay well.